Welcome to the Disruption Podcast with Keegan Sard. A podcast all about the disruption in our lives, how to move with the times, and how it has only just begun.
Can I actually transform my industrial revolution company and compete with one of these startups or platform companies? Or do I have to start over?
Get ahead of the curve and learn about new and emerging technologies that are shaping the world of tomorrow.
Welcome to episode 4 of the Disruption Podcast. I usually fly a lot, but October saw me home in Adelaide driving my wife nuts and doing no favours to maintaining my platinum frequent flyer status. However, this gave me time to catch up on my projects and explore things making news in Australia. If you don't watch TV, like me, or read the paper regularly, you might not know that our financial ecosystem is currently getting the biggest grilling since the barbecue was invented. The Banking Royal Commission was established in late 2017 and has heard some of the most outrageous stories from individuals and businesses right around Australia. AMP, a large listed player, admitted to charging customers for advice that they had never received and repeatedly lied to the regulator. NAB, one of the 4 largest banks, had staff accepting cash-filled envelopes based on fake documents in order to smash targets and score bonuses. And dead people were being charged for financial advice for over 10 years. That's just a few stories that I found online, and there's many, many more. But the crazy thing so far is the silence from the 2 government-run bodies supposed to protect us. The Australian Securities and Investment Commission, ASIC, and the Australian Prudential Regulatory Authority, APRA, who are yet to be grilled, who were arguably complicit. And as of this podcast, no one has lost their jobs. We are already seeing the effects of the Royal Commission too, with lending tightening like never before, right at the same time as we are seeing the worst property clearance rates since the GFC. So where does this leave the financial sector in Australia when it's being disrupted for the better in other markets? And will fintechs and innovation be the loser of the Royal Commission recommending more control, greater legislation, regulation, and red tape? I'm super passionate about this space, so I wanted to spend a few moments talking about some great disruptors from across the world that are already having a huge impact. The first being banking. A great example of how some markets have opened up to competition with the banking sector is the rise of digital-only banks, tailoring their offering to a new generation of mobile-first consumers. This has absolutely exploded in the UK, with each offering having a slightly different approach, different features, tools, and connections to third parties, be it Apple Pay, GPay, Samsung Pay. But the standout for me so far has to be a startup called Revolut, who now boasts more than 2 million customers and is the first digital bank to get unicorn status in Britain. The app is beyond incredible. It lets users have multi-currency accounts, free international money transfers, budgeting tools, vaults to save your spare change, and much more. They're also kicking goals too, and only getting started with share trading and insurance that they're heavily focused on in the future. Revolut's available throughout the EU and is opening up in Asia, the US and Australia, I'm told, very soon. The next for me is insurance. We all should have insurance, but many don't because it's too hard to apply for, and it's even harder to claim when trouble strikes. However, there's a great player in the US called Lemonade, and they are turning the outdated industry on its head. They realized early on that the industry heavy rates are bureaucratic, have mountains of manual processes, and most start the relationship with their customers from an area of distrust. So where Lemonade is different, they only take a 20% flat fee off the top, so regardless of the amount they pay out in claims, they end up with the same bottom line. Now, there's no pressure to hold back on claims, and it's actually shown in the way that they handle claims. They use AI to run, your claim through 18 different anti-fraud algorithms, And if your claim doesn't bring up any red flags, not only is it approved, but it's paid in about 3 seconds. Cool, right? And if it needs more attention, well, it'll be actioned from their, humans claim team, the next business day. 25% of claims are now approved and paid within 3 seconds, and the company aims to improve this over time with big data. So, computers are now, slowly taking our jobs, and we're seeing that time and time again, and, I'll raise it probably another 30 times throughout this podcast series. And it's no different in the financial planning world. This is one especially freaking out my wife, as she's a qualified CFP. But as I tell her, pretty much weekly, computers don't have emotion just yet. She has great relationships with her clients, so she's safe for now, and I think she will be for a long time to come. But when it comes to managing your money, you have more choice than ever before. You can do it yourself, probably not recommended. You can use a robo-advisor, still on the, bleeding edge of technology, or you can invest in the skills of a professional like my wife. However, I want to focus with the podcast on the rise of robo-advice. If you have never heard the term before, robo-advisors are automated digital platforms that provide financial and investment management advice using algorithms. So they go away, they collect all your personal information that you chuck into an online form. They, give you advice on how best to proceed, or some will just automatically make the appropriate financial transactions for you from within their platform. However, as you know, they're still in their infancy, or you've probably never heard of them. They tend to be relatively easy to replicate, and sometimes they miss certain circumstances that are critical to your needs, or in other cases, they're just way off the mark. But I feel that they do have a place in the ecosystem. An example of a startup getting it right is called Wealthfront, who is helping users plan for retirement, invest in their savings, or plan to buy a new home. Wealthfront makes, financial planning accessible to now all backgrounds and all incomes. They make it simple to understand, and they're super transparent about fees, which is arguably a good thing. And finally, I want to talk about stocks. Trading shares is a great passion of mine, and it's a great place to be in right now. You have access to a ton of data that you never used to get access to, faster internet like never before, albeit the NBN here in Australia being rubbish, and online trading tools that are giving even Bloomberg a run for their money. The startup I love in this space is out of San Francisco, and it's called Robinhood. They've created a desktop and mobile app that doesn't require a manual to understand how to use it. It's very tech heavy, so the app is just gorgeous, and you can track your stocks and you can put in trades with one tap. And the best part of it, it's free. There's no more $19 fees on each end. It's available in the US right now, but does have a landing page saying Australia very soon. But it's been sort of active for the last 18 months, so we'll see. So look, it's a sort of a shorter episode this month, but in closing, I want to say that the finance sector is important. We need it to ensure that governments and innovators can work together to improve the lives of communities for the better. It's super important. We need to look at countries opening those barriers to entry for tech, artificial intelligence, and even blockchain, and I swore that I wouldn't mention it, but I am, because they all have a place. And I feel like Australia's being left behind at the moment to the rest of the world because, we are focused on regulating the craziness out of finance instead of, personal responsibility. So love to hear your thoughts. It's something that we're seeing creep in regards to digital bank offerings here with Xenia and Up just recently opening up in Australia. It's an exciting time. So if you are using a tool that you love, or you've only just opened and you think I should know about it, hit me up and on Twitter, and I'd love to check it out. But until next time. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for tuning into the Disruption Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, make sure to subscribe and share the podcast with friends and colleagues.